On the ground, it is moving through Kankakee County, moving northeast. I don't know if I believe 66 miles per hour. It's generally moving off to the east at around 25 miles per hour at this point. Look at some of the hail size, over 2-inch diameter hail. We've had some reports of large hail from golf ball to tennis ball size, 3-inch diameter hail being reported across the area. But hail was the primary threat. Now we've got one on the ground, and it's reported to be a large wedge. We've had reports of damage south of Kankakee proper, south of the downtown area of Kankakee. We've had reports of power flashes indicating that we've got some power lines down, high voltage flashover as the transformers and the transmission lines are destroyed. What you see there with that gray circulation, that is a product that says, hey, there's debris here. There's stuff being lofted into the air from a tornado that's on the ground. Here's where it is. There's Sun River Terrace. There's the dry slot wrapping into this thing. But that's where the circulation is, and the general motion is moving off to the north and east. We can widen out a little bit. Look at that. Look how that thing is curling up even more. Let's just go through and walk through some of these communities. There's Moments. There's Ward. You can see all the way up to Garden of Eden, Edgetown. A lot of these smaller communities, you may not be watching us right now, but if you've got a neighbor that's there, if you have family that's in Kankakee County, call them and tell them to get to your safe place. Sunset, Aisha, is 6:52. So by the time the sun sets, we've already got the cloud cover out there. You're not going to be able to see this thing. It is rain wrapped, and it is moving off to the north and east. And we talked about this earlier about the populated area on the other side of Kankakee County in Lake County in Indiana. That is the state line right there. Currently, the tornado warning only goes up to the state line, but I suspect if this thing continues on the ground, it is going to cross over into northwest Indiana. So if you're in northwest Indiana, beyond Kankakee County, get to your safe place. If you know someone that's traveling down I-65 or moving on 41 north and south, get them to their safe place. This is not the time to be traveling through Kankakee County, even over into Lake County. Especially in I-65, because this is a tornado on the ground. It has no indication at this point that it is weakening, and it's continuing to move off to the north and east around 25 miles per hour. That tornado warning continues until 7 o'clock this evening, but I suspect if this signature continues, it's going to hang together and cross the state line. And again, here's where the state line lies at this point. Aisha?
Yeah, and Brant, obviously we're watching Kankakee County, but I just want to show you the severe thunderstorm warnings that we have with the storms that are just outside of our viewing area, but they're starting to move into some of the counties in our viewing area. So for instance, here we've got this cluster of storms, and this is all tornado possible. So let me zoom out a little bit, and as I press play here. All right, let me show you what we're dealing with. So we've got this cluster of storms. I just talked about these. These are moving generally to the north and east, but already starting to move into LaSalle County. And these are severe storms with, once again, hail over 2 inches in diameter. So we're talking tennis ball, possibly baseball size hail with these severe storms. And also they do have a tornado possible tag, which obviously means that these storms could produce a tornado. It's moving off to the north and east. And obviously we've got plenty of lightning with these storms too. So we're going to have to watch these as they continue to move into LaSalle County and also Lee and Ogle counties. Let me show you, we're still watching Kankakee County because we do still have that tornado on the ground. And as Brent mentioned, they have not extended the tornado warning just yet. I wouldn't be surprised if they do extend it. But what we're watching here is this area of circulation just south of Moments. It's moving off to the east about 25 or so miles per hour. And I want to put a track on this just to show you where it's headed. Again, it hasn't been extended, the actual tornado warning. But if this tornado stays on the ground, Lake Village, it's going to move into your area almost 7:15. Again, this is a confirmed tornado, and 10 strong tornado that we got reports of. There were pictures actually posted in the National Weather Service chat. So this is a wedge tornado that is on the ground. It's moving east about 25 miles per hour. So if you're in this warning, basically central and eastern Kankakee County, you should already be in your safe place. But I just put a tracker on the actual area of rotation, so the actual tornado, and it's moving eastward. So Lake Village, it'll get to your area just about 7:15 if this actually holds together and if it stays this intense, Brant.
And Aisha, we're getting some reports of some damage, some roofs taken off in Aroma Park. There's going to be significant damage here across Kankakee County. This is one on the ground. This is a large wedge tornado. Let's re-up and give you an idea of what we're dealing with. Okay, now this is extended as a severe thunderstorm warning into northwest Indiana. They did not continue the tornado warning. Let's see if this thing holds together. You can see it's got a Barron tornado index of a 5. Still a significant tornado on the ground. Will it hold together as it moves across the state line? We'll continue to monitor this with our continuous coverage here on NBC5. And we're using our brand new studios with Aisha. So we've got the technology here to bring you information to keep you safe. And what we're looking at here is a debris signature, that gray circular thing that you see spinning there. So there is indication that debris is being wafted into the atmosphere. Here's the inflow notch. Here's the mesocyclone. This is where the damage has occurred. Sun River Terrace, I suspect there's damage there. We've seen power flashes. Here's Moments. It's just to the south of you with the circulation. But what we saw on Friday was that wedge-shaped tornado. It's not just where the tornado is. It could be a football field away from it, that debris circulating and flying around the tornado. Still a strong rotation signature. And again, that Barron tornado index of a 5.1, a significant tornado on the ground. And Aisha was talking about some of the communities and its path. You know this neighborhood much better than all of the rest of our viewers because you live there. So, you take a look at this. Okay, where Hopkins Park, where am I? You have to be your own forecaster. If you're anywhere in this area, south of the Kankakee River, this guy's headed in your direction. It's not moving really fast, around 25 miles per hour, but you can certainly see the fact that there's rain coming, and this is rain wrapped, so it's very difficult to see. So you may just think, oh, there's heavy rain, or there's hail that we saw earlier. But within that, cloaked by the rain, is a circulation that is a destructive tornado that is moving off to the east around 25 miles per hour. And it's surprising, Aisha, that they went with a severe thunderstorm warning.
Especially considering how intense and strong this tornado is, and it's a tornado on the ground, so it's not radar indicated at all. I'm actually pretty surprised by that too. Yeah,
and what you were showing earlier, let's hop out, not to neglect this. Get to your safe place, Kankakee County, approaching the state line over toward northwest Indiana, but look at the stuff that's still...
There's a tornado warning with one of those.
Yeah, we've got a tornado here near Kewanee, and again, all of this, why is this happening? Because there's this warm front that's sitting just to our south. It does not progress, at least at this point, all the way up into the city of Chicago. But look at, even on the cool side, we've got temperatures in the upper 30s along the city's shoreline here. But look at the stuff, Aisha, that's already popping up along the Wisconsin state line and moving off to the north and east. Even out in Dubuque, we've got a severe thunderstorm warning. So this whole slug of moisture is working its way not only just along the warm front, but even north of it into the more stable atmosphere. Earlier...
And that's surprising.
That is surprising. We were sitting here talking about this afternoon. Okay, does Lake Michigan protect us?
Yeah.
Do we wind up with the cool winds off the lake? That does not seem to be the case at this point. This is a very strong weather pattern, and this stuff is continuing to move through. And here we are. We're not even at 7 o'clock in the evening. We've got a tornado on the ground in Kankakee County. And I suspect we're going to see more of this activity throughout the evening, coming from the west and working its way towards Chicago. Let's re-up, give you an idea of what we're dealing with. Tornado on the ground. You can see it here. There's Moments. There's some damage south of Moments. You get the idea that this is moving off. We've got another circulation here popping up. And look at this. They've just reduced the tornado warning. There's a wall cloud that's underneath this. If you look at the thunderstorm, you're going to see this hanging wall cloud, they call it, hanging below it, and multiple vortices are coming off that. That's why we're seeing another vortex here. Widen out a little bit, Joey, so we can look at this and see that new updated tornado warning. Now, if you're west in Kankakee, for now, you're in the clear until the next stuff gets here. But this circulation has passed you. It's south of Moments. Here's 41. We talked about that earlier. North-south corridor back over into Indiana. 65 lies back over here. or right here, and moving down here. So if you know someone that's traveling down 41 or 65, hold short, wait it out. This guy is moving in your direction around 25 miles per hour, and it's had a history of producing some destructive activity. And again, Aisha, that stuff to the west is troubling. We are here for a long haul tonight.
And we mentioned this earlier, but it's really surprising to see these storms just blowing up, especially this far to the north, because as Brant mentioned, the atmosphere, especially once you get north of I-80, is pretty stable. So this is actually really surprising to see. The storms that are starting to move into parts of our area, at least our far western counties, these storms, I've been keeping an eye on these. These are severe storms with a tornado possible tag. So basically what that means is that these storms have the capability of producing a tornado. These are moving off to the north and east, already starting to move into parts of LaSalle County. We've got to watch also Lee and Ogle counties, even parts of DuPage County too, or parts of DeKalb County too. So again, this is moving off to the north and east. We're watching those pretty closely. That tornado warning was scaled back, as you mentioned, Brant, and that's also a little surprising to me. I'm not sure if you're surprised that
I'm with
they
you.
scaled it back that much as well.
Well, yeah, again, what you're looking at behind Aisha there, you see the signature of the rotation, what's going on. We hop over to the box I'm using here. What we suspected, Joey's just telling me in my ear, a new tornado warning.
Is it for Lake?
Yeah, Lake.
Okay.
So, so what we
that
said.
That makes sense.
Lake and Newton County.
Yeah.
So we're looking at Lake here. Here's Newton County to the south. So once again, if you're in Indiana, along 41, get to your safe place. It looks like we'll see that populate here in a second when the National Weather Service office in Romeoville pops this guy up. But it's going to cross the state line. And it's one on the ground. You can see some multiple vortices being indicated there by the shear markers. And again, this is a more we talked about this earlier, more populated area in here. This isn't farmland anymore from Cedar Lake down to Schneider. A lot of housing communities there. And so once again, there's the potential for damage. Get into a safe place, strong interior room, away from windows. If the kids are outside playing, get them inside, know where your family is. We still haven't seen that, populated in our machine here of the new tornado warning, but a BTI of 5. We've been told they're going to. So once again, you have to wait for the red box to pop up. You know you're in harm's way. If you're along 41 south of Schneider, and again, anywhere in here in Lake County into the northern portion of Newton County, we wind up with more housing communities there along the state line. So caution, we wait for this thing to pop. But again, let's talk about what we've heard so far, and that's there's been damage in Schneider, Lake Village. Hey, look a little closer here. You can see some of these communities, Schneider's, some amount of resorts, Lake Village. And if you look at that, if you're watching us in other parts of Chicago, you're like, where are those places? What's going on? Why are you focusing on the south suburbs? This is where the danger lies at this point. So far in the northern suburbs, we've just seen some hail and a severe thunderstorm warning across the city of Chicago. But as we shared earlier, there are more thunderstorms that have been popping up, even far north where we thought it would be a little more stable in the atmosphere. There is a severe thunderstorm warning here, and we're waiting on the National Weather Service to coordinate and give us a new tornado warning that will cross the state line into Lake and Newton County. Okay, we have some video to share. This is what the cell looked like over Pontiac. Take a look at this, Aisha.
Oh, wow.
You can see the rotating wall cloud there. See the rotation?
And you can see the vortices too.
Yeah, this is, if you see something like this, seek shelter. Don't try to take pictures like this. You can see a little pendant hanging there where the potential is where some vortex could be hitting the ground. And then you come back from that and you look at this. We sit here on this side of the television and we're telling you, okay, this is what's going on. In the real world out there, that's what it looks like. This is one of those situations where, you've got the kids and you're in the basement with a family dog and the sky turns green. Where do you go? Okay, there it is. There's the new tornado warning from Schneider all the way just east of 41 for that damaging tornado that is on the ground. A large wedge tornado reminiscent of what the thing looked like over in Michigan on Friday. That's crossing the state line and moving over into northwest Indiana. Okay, now what do you do if you're in Schneider, in Savannah Resorts, Lake Village? Get to your safe place. And we say this over and over again. Where's my safe place? Strong interior room. If you have a basement, center of the basement. What do you put in there? We talked about this earlier yesterday about having a bug out bag. You have a bag that's got water in it. It's got your prescriptions. It's got some cash. It's got insurance information. It's got a charger for your cell phone, and you're ready to go. So be prepared. If you're in any of these communities along 41, this guy is headed towards you. You see it on the left-hand side of the screen. It is a tornado on the ground. It has produced damage across Kankakee County, and it is going to cross the state line and head in your direction in Lake and Newton counties in northwest Indiana. So be prepared. And this thing has not diminished whatsoever. We've been seeing a Barron Tornado Index first popped up at a 5.2. It's still riding at about a 5, and this is the most dangerous weather that we have active at this point. And Aisha has been watching some of the stuff that's out to the west. Not to discount this, we'll pop away for a second. Aisha, that stuff that was out west of LaSalle County, that's all headed in our direction.
Yeah, it's all headed in our direction. So I want to put on a loop here. So this takes us over the last hour just to show you where this is headed. These are severe storms, by the way. You can see obviously all of the lightning associated with it. These storms, the primary threat has been hail. Hail 2-3 inches in diameter. So that's tennis ball, baseball size hail. And this is moving off to the north and east, already starting to move into LaSalle County. And we'll continue to watch these as they move off to the north and east. But there's also been a tornado possible tag with several of these storms too. So they could produce a tornado. We were talking about the tornado warning that was actually extended. So I just want to go back to that really quickly. I'm just kind of giving you a different vantage point of the actual tornado that's on the ground. So what this shows is the wind velocity. So you have red and greens together, and that shows us the actual area of rotation. So this is continuing to move off to the east. Lake Village, you're now included in that tornado warning. And I just want to take a look at where it is headed. So it's moving eastward, we'll say about 25 or so miles per hour. So the actual tornado, so what we're tracking here is the actual area of rotation. Moving to the east, so it will move into Lake Village about 7:18, Roselawn about 7:35, and then Fair Oaks, this tornado, if it holds together, will approach you about 7:42. And again, this takes us a little bit deeper into northwest Indiana. But this is the more urgent concern, if you will, with this tornado on the ground. But I don't want to discount what we're also seeing back to the west, and some of these storms are already starting to move into some of our westernmost counties, Brant.
And Aisha, what we're dealing with here now is an active tornado warning. It's a tornado that's on the ground. You see two of those red tornado boxes. The first one occurred just to the west of Kankakee, crossed by the airport and has moved eastward. You can see it's already past Moments. If you're in Kankakee, it's past you at this point, but it's rapidly approaching 41. And there is the state line where that blue line is there, and this circulation is holding together. It's got a Barron Tornado Index of 5.3. For a while, we saw a 7.7 as this thing was really cranking up. We've seen indications of debris signature. We see the rotation continuing. It's a damaging tornado. We've got reports of damage in Kankakee County, and it's again crossing the state line, and it's working its way toward 41, and eventually here's 65. This storm cell has no indication at this point that it is weakening. Underlying this is a severe thunderstorm warning. But again, the focus of the threat is across northwest Indiana, moving out of Kankakee County, southern Lake County, northern Newton County. We're going to reset and give you an idea of what we're dealing with here. Severe weather is moving across the south suburbs of Chicago. There is more on the way, and we have an NBA game coming up. So what we're going to do is here on NBC5 Chicago, we are going to do a double box. We're going to give you the basketball game, and we are going to give you coverage when it warrants with the severe thunderstorm activity that's moving through. So please stay with us. Here's where we are at this point at 7 o'clock in the evening. We'll continue and give you an idea of what we're looking at. Aisha pointed out those storms that are really popping up out to the west. You can see one active tornado warning and severe thunderstorm warnings. And what we were looking at in the northern suburbs, and Aisha and I were talking about this earlier, we're even seeing some thunderstorms that have popped up in those northern tier counties where we have that stability of the winds off Lake Michigan, temperatures in the 30s along the lakeshore. So there's an active pattern across the entire area, but the focus of the danger at this point is across eastern Kankakee County, moving into Lake and Newton counties in northwest Indiana. And we mentioned earlier, Aisha, the fact that there's more population across northwest Indiana. It isn't just farmland anymore. There are a lot of communities there. So seek shelter. There's the center of circulation. You can see near Lowell and Cedar Lake. Let's go down a little farther to the south if we can. And there is the inflow notch. There is the tornado that is confirmed on the ground. And that tornado is just about to cross the state line. In fact, this is history because we're delayed about a minute or so. And if you're watching us on streaming, keep in mind there's an encoding delay for everything to be chopped up into bits and bytes and digitally sent out. Sometimes that delay can be a couple of minutes. So if you're watching us on the stream, be aware that that delay is there and don't wait to go to your safe place. If you look at this and we give you one of those projected times, add a couple of minutes onto it to get to your safe place. At this point, if you're in Lake Village, you should be in your safe place. Schneider, in your safe place. Any one of these communities along 41 in northwest Indiana, this guy is crossing the state line right now, probably over the state line at this point. You can see that's right here. Here's the Indiana, Illinois state line. And again, there's the center of circulation, moving very quickly toward Lake Village. Beyond that, 65 sits out here to the east. So again, a dangerous situation. We have a tornado warning that continues across not only the eastern portion of Kankakee County, but across into Lake and Newton counties in northwest Indiana. There's a quick look at some of the communities in the path. Extreme caution. This is a dangerous storm. It has a history of producing damage. Aisha?
And Lake and Porter counties were just added to that tornado watch. So we've got a tornado watch until 11 o'clock tonight, basically along and south of I-80. So that includes LaSalle County, Kankakee County. As I mentioned, Lake and Porter counties have been added to that tornado watch, and then Newton and Jasper counties have been added as well. So how much longer are we going to deal with these storms? They're going to be around for a while. So go ahead and, again, start thinking about your safe place if you're not there just yet. As we work our way towards 8, 9 o'clock this evening, look at this. We still have storms ramping up across the area. These will be likely numerous storms pushing across the region. And then as we push towards 12 o'clock, so right around midnight tonight, it looks like the storms will mainly be confined from the city south and across northwest Indiana. And then after about midnight tonight, these storms will move out of here. So we've got, again, several hours to deal with these storms. And these storms do have the potential to become strong and possibly even severe. The main threats, we're watching hail, which has been a huge threat this afternoon and this evening. We've seen tennis ball size hail, golf ball size hail, but also the threat for tornadoes is highest along and south of I-80. So that's our most immediate threat and one we'll be watching pretty closely, including the tornado warning that we do still have in effect right now for parts of Kankakee County and now starting to push into parts of Lake County as well, Brant.
And Aisha, we're getting multiple reports of damage across Kankakee County and northwest Indiana. Still an active tornado warning, and you see that red flashing box. And what we're seeing, sometimes with the tornadic activity, you'll see that vortex lift up and then touch down. We're getting multiple reports of it doing that sort of activity. So again, look at the time. It's after sunset, even with daylight savings time. This is likely rain wrapped at this point. Very difficult to see and discern what's going on. Some heavy rainfall. Aisha talked about the hail. We've had gigantic hail across the area as the freezing level is around 11,000 feet. And we're looking at the tops of these storms up to 50,000 feet. So you see we've got a distance there for those hailstones to accrete moisture as they go up and down and become so heavy that they fall. Wow.
Look at that.
Wow. Just take a second and look at this. I've lost, how many are there out there? How many severe thunderstorm warnings are we looking at? It's unbelievable. Look at this activity. And Aisha.
And for this time of the year,
yeah.
This is really odd, by the way.
And the fact that we thought that this would be confined south. Storm Prediction Center today put us in a more advanced severe outlook, but look what's happening all the way to the north too. So if you thought you were completely out of the woods in the northern tier counties, you might not see tornadic activity, but certainly severe thunderstorm activity. This is the stuff that's out there to the south and west that's still coming toward us. Look at LaSalle County. Look at all this stuff here. Here's DeKalb County. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning moving into DeKalb County. Here's I-88 here along Interstate 80. If you know someone that's a trucker, you know someone that's traveling Interstate 80, hold short. Don't even attempt. Look how long, if you're on I-80, look what you have to chew through just to get out to the Quad Cities. Not a good idea to travel. Stay out of that. Tornado watch to the south, severe thunderstorm watch to the north, and every one of those blue boxes is a severe thunderstorm warning, and some of those, as Aisha pointed out, have the potential to have a tornado. They're tornado possible. Let's focus once again on what's happening in northwest Indiana. This is where the danger is. This is the peak of the danger at this point. That's where we have an active tornado warning. There's the center of the vortex. It's on top of the state line. It is crossing. It is a little bit of history, because what we're looking at here takes a minute or so to process and send it out to you. And then there's the encoding delay if you're watching online. But it's crossed the state line. There's Schneider. There's 41. And this guy is crossing 41. It's a severe thunderstorm warning beyond that. The National Weather Service first issued a severe thunderstorm warning. And then we were watching that, and Aisha and I were talking about, is this thing going to hang together? And indeed, they issued the tornado warning that continues as this moves. And again, let's talk about some of the communities right along 41. Schneider, down to Lake Village, you're right in the path of this thing. So get to your safe place. We say it over and over again. Strong interior room away from windows. If you're fortunate enough to have a basement, get to the center of the basement, hunker down, use this thing, use your smartphone, get the NBC Chicago app, get Live Doppler 5 right on your smartphone, and we'll be here to keep you safe. And also, we stream on the app. So if you lose power, we've had some reports in Kankakee County of power flashes. All right, JC Navarrete is in Kankakee. JC, what are you seeing there, sir?
Yeah, hey there, Brant. Go ahead and, catch your breath, get some water. I know you've been tracking all of this. Take a look at this. This is some of the hail that we've been seeing, and the rain, of course, coming down as well. Reed, if you'll go ahead and show them just the size of some of the hail that we're seeing down here near Kankakee. The water itself, thankfully, is beginning to recede, and I'm going to be cautious here as I get towards the street, but you can see there's still right now about ankle high water. When we got here about 20 minutes ago, you can see where it was reaching right around my knee. Reed, if you'll go ahead and zoom in across the street, you'll see folks out there tending to their vehicles. That's because they're dealing with a lot of broken glass, unfortunately. That black sedan in the parking lot has its rear window smashed in, and we're also seeing folks across the parking lot as well assessing some damage. We were talking to a family that also was dealing with broken glass across the street. You'll hear from them later on tonight, but kind of a sad story there. They had just bought a car, and now they believe that it's totaled. We have some video we want to show you as well along Kankakee, just giving you an idea of how much hail was coming down here. Now, of course, we were dealing with traffic on the drive down here, and Reed Sealer, my photographer I'm working with here today, and we were talking. It's like, it doesn't really seem like anything's going on. It seems pretty calm. And then out of nowhere, like the flip of a switch, it all started coming down as one. So I'm going to send things back to you guys in the studio. We are heading towards the Kankakee Airport, where there is a lot of damage being reported. We'll see you back here at 10 o'clock.
And JC, if you can check over toward Aroma Park, we had some unconfirmed reports that there were roofs off houses and structural damage there. If you can check that for us, too.
We'll check it out.
Okay, we've got new information. The tornado, Aisha, that tornado warning that we were questioning why it was going to stop at the state line, it didn't stop at the state line. It's still been up and down and touching the ground. It's been extended now. Take a look at this. Let's widen it out a little bit, Joey, so we can get a better perspective here. Look at that. That goes all the way. There's Couts. There's the Kankakee River. This thing is tracking just south of the Kankakee River and moving off to the east. So new tornado warning. It's crossing US 41. It's headed toward 65. Here's 65. So if you're headed on 65 or certainly 41, you don't want to be on 41 at this point. Hold short north or south. This guy is right on top of you at this point. And we're getting in a little more sparsely populated area. Yeah, here's Roseland, Indiana, Shelby, Thayer, Lake Village. It's on you at this point. And again, go to your safe place. Strong interior room away from windows. That's our mantra tonight. We say that over and over again. But get to your safe place. This is a dangerous situation. It's dark. There's heavy rainfall. As JC pointed out, you can see some of the hail being produced by this thunderstorm and these thunderstorms. And we've had electrical safety. Let's talk about that a little bit. Multiple power lines down across northwest Indiana and in Kankakee County. In your service area, if you're in northwest Indiana, it's IPSCO. You can talk to them. And Illinois side, it's ComEd. Use their numbers. Do not try to cross a power line. JC was showing you some of that flooding there when he had the boots in the water. We really don't have that many underpasses and that sort of thing out here. But if you see standing water, don't drive through it. You have no idea how deep it is. And certainly watch out for electrical situations. If you have a power line down, do not try to cross it. Don't assume that the rubber in your tires will protect you. That's not the case. All right, let's look at rotation detector. What are we seeing here? Still a pretty strong signature. There's something cooking here, rotating in this vortex. And keep in mind, we've had some reports that not only has it touched down as a big wedge tornado, but the vortex may have lifted up, and it may be coming down. But if you're in Roseland, Indiana, get to your safe place at this Roseland right here. This guy's moving east at around 25 miles per hour. And again, a new tornado warning that continues all the way east of I-65. Here's 65 right here. You do not want to be in the path of this dangerous storm that is popping up and down on the ground. So the vortex hasn't just stayed on the ground, so it can be deceptive. So if you know along 65, Fair Oaks Farms is there. It looks like it's going to go just north of that. Here's Pembroke, and you get the idea where this is, Deer Park. And again, we're across northwest Indiana, and we're here, even though this isn't close to downtown Chicago. This is our viewing area, and we're here to keep you safe. And again, that circulation, that tornado warning is moving across northwest Indiana at this point. And we've been seeing those Barron Tornado Index numbers around a 5. So a very dangerous situation continues as this works off to the east. Aisha, we've got this danger, but man, that stuff out to the west is looking even more scary at this point. So it's really starting to light up along this whole warm front.
It really is. And I just want to really quickly track the actual area of rotation. So track that tornado that's still on the ground. Again, as Brant mentioned, it's moving to the east about 25 miles per hour or so. So Roseland, it'll get to you just about 7:30. Walker just before 8 o'clock. So you should be in your safe place by that point. Now, Brant mentioned we've got more stuff firing up back to the west. So far this afternoon, a lot of the storms have been very isolated. So most of us have not really been dealing with too much. But notice here on Live Doppler 5, we've got this cluster of storms that's really just blown up down to our south. And this is going to continue to move to the north and east. And so the storms will become more numerous as we go over the next several hours. And these are severe storms too, already starting to push into LaSalle County, DeKalb County, even starting to move into Lee and Ogle counties as well. And obviously, we're still keeping an eye on that tornado warning with that storm that's moving across northwest Indiana. I want to show you the severe thunderstorm warnings that we have across the area. And what this does is it automatically kind of populates the storms. But all of these blue boxes, I'm going to zoom out here. All of these blue boxes, these are severe thunderstorm warnings. Obviously, we've got tornado possible with the storm moving through northwest Indiana, but look at the line of severe thunderstorm boxes that we've got back to the west and even across some of our westernmost counties. These will likely have tornado possible with them. At least a few of these boxes I've been seeing tornado possible popping up. So even if you are north of I-80, I would start to think about your safe place. Also keep in mind, these storms have been producing very, very large hail. I just want to show you the storm reports here. Look at all of these hail icons. I mean, again, these storms have been producing 3-4 inch diameter, and as far as the hail goes, look at the storm that moved over Chicago. several hail reports with that storm, even the one that produced tornadoes. So obviously we have tornado reports with that storm that's moving now over northwest Indiana, but we've got numerous hail reports. And again, with this cluster of storms that's starting to move into parts of Lee County, also parts of DeKalb County, also some hail reports being reported with that cluster of storms as well. But Brant, as for right now, we're really focusing on this tornado warning that's across northwest Indiana.
And that's where the danger lies, Aisha. We're looking here at the rotation detector. It's not quite as vivid as it was before, but certainly a dangerous storm. Rosalyn, right here, I-65. This is going to cross I-65 if you know someone that's traveling. 65 from down near Lafayette up to Maryville. Hold short. Stay off 65 at this point because this guy in the next 20 minutes or so is going to cross and move eastward. And we're starting to get into a little more agricultural area as we leave Newton and head over toward Jasper counties. And this is all riding just south of the Kankakee River. And again, there's where we stand at this point. It has crossed 41 at this point. It has moved, the center of circulation has moved out of the state of Illinois, is in Indiana. But again, you see that gray circular indicator. That's saying there is debris being lofted into the atmosphere. That's saying that there is debris on the ground being lofted northward or vertically. 5.3 on the Barron Tornado Index. It's been holding fairly steady in that 5 range for a while. It popped up to a 7.7. That makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up at this point. A dangerous situation. This is showing debris detector here. Keep in mind the prevailing winds are pushing off to the east, and some of that debris is being lofted into the atmosphere by a very dangerous tornado that's on the ground. Another interesting, our producer Joey was mentioning, even if you're not in the direct path, there's stuff up here that could be falling out of the cloud. Look at this. This is interesting, Aisha. Look how we're starting to see multiple inflow notches here. I don't like what I'm seeing here. I don't like seeing that little divot there. Little rotation there. Here's another little divot here. Are we seeing some rotation under that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see if that pops up here. Give me the rotation detector again. Is there something in here?
So it looks like this storm is producing a couple of areas of rotation at this point.
Yeah, this is not just a single vortex. And the other thing we're looking at too, we're getting farther and farther away from the radars. So radar's line of sight, the Earth is curved, so we're firing out at half a degree above the horizon. And as we get farther and farther away, we're looking farther and farther up into the clouds. The radar beam at this point is around 4,600, 5,000 feet in the atmosphere. But we are seeing these little inflow notches along here. So let's watch that very carefully as this continues to move toward I-65. If you're in Kankakee County at this point, it looks like the severe threat from this tornado has weakened. And again, you saw from J.C. Navarrete's report earlier that he was in Kankakee, but it doesn't stay that way for long. Look at this stuff. Earlier, we remarked about how incredible the number of blue boxes that indicate severe thunderstorms warnings were, Aisha, and it has just lit up to the west of us. And we had anticipated that it might be like this. We were sitting around this afternoon preparing ourselves for this coverage. You believe the models to a point, but that high-resolution rapid refresh model we shared last night at 10 o'clock has been spot on. So this is what we're dealing with at this point. All those blue boxes, severe thunderstorm warnings. And again, we've had history of producing large hail. And be cautious anywhere in here. Some of these have the caveat of tornado possible. We'll stay on the air and keep you safe here, as this isn't the end of it. Once this tornado warning expires and shifts eastward, our focus will turn to all the activity that's to the west, and there's the potential some of those could be a repeat performance. Aisha, there's again, look at the rotation detector here. So this is far from over. So this is just coming up on Roseline. Here's Roseline right here, Thayer, Forest City. It looks like at this point it's probably crossing 65 right here and moving on to more agricultural parts of northwest Indiana, moving out of Newton County, more over toward Jasper County, but still a dangerous situation. We'll wait with it crossing 65. And again, seek shelter now. get to a safe place across northwest Indiana. Aisha?
Yeah, and speaking of JC, he mentioned the hail damage. Someone they just got their new car, and hail already damaged their car. And that's a really good point, because if you have your vehicle parked outside, I would go ahead and bring it in if you can, if you have the capability to do so, because these storms all afternoon have been producing tennis ball size hail, golf ball size hail, and you can see all of the storms that are headed our way. So we were dealing with more isolated storms. Oh, there we go.
Look at that.
Kankakee County. I mean, look at that hail.
And look at the way they're shaped. If we can hold this picture for just a second. We got the radar on the screen. You can see that at the bottom there, so we're not denying you anything there. If we go back to that hail picture, it looked almost like a cauliflower head, where it had multiple little areas of moisture. So what's happening here? Why are we getting this large hail? We have a very low freezing level, around 11,000 feet, and the tops of these storms producing large hail were up to 50,000 feet. So you see that distance of below freezing temperatures in the updraft. So what happens? That hail gets lifted by an updraft. There are super cooled water droplets. Literally, water can be liquid below freezing in a thunderstorm, and they accrete. They make it like an onion, and they're layers. If you cut one of those hailstones apart, that looks like an onion. So they go up and down until finally they're so heavy that gravity takes hold and they fall, and we see some of those are softball-sized or tennis ball-sized hail. All right, where do we stand? Let's re-up and give you an idea what we're dealing with. BTI of 4.6, down just a hair, but this has crossed the state line. There's Schneider. It's over 41. It's past 41 at this point. Next is I-65, and this thing is moving off to the east. I don't believe the 54 miles per hour. It's been historically moving around 20, 25 miles per hour. But you get the idea that this center of circulation, a tornado on the ground, is moving across northwest Indiana into a more agricultural area once you get past 65. Look at these, Aisha, you can see these multiple areas of rotation that it's seeing. And we've heard some reports that rather than being the Dorothy and Toto single vortex, these are those wedge-shaped tornadoes that can have little fingers, multiple vortices that come out of them. And something that we learned with the EF3 that was over in Michigan last Friday is you could see the rotation outside the central vortex. This is a rotating wall cloud, Aisha, and you can, if you see this, this is where you get to your safe place. Yeah. You don't mess around with this. And you can see that little pendant hanging down there on the left-hand side of the screen. There's a potential that might be something that touches down, but certainly when you start to see, something like this is be your own forecaster, get to a safe place.
Yeah, no one needs to tell you.
No, not at all. That's where the tornado warning continues. Now, one of the other bizarre things we're dealing with is the temperature contrast. For that part of the story, Aisha, this is dramatic stuff.
We obviously have a tornado on the ground, right, across northwest Indiana. But it's this boundary that we've been watching, and which is why the Storm Prediction Center and even us as meteorologists, it just made sense, right, that we would have the stronger storms along and south of I-80, because look at this temperature contrast. It's 68 right now in Kankakee, but we've got 30s and 40s to our north and right along Lake Michigan. But what is very surprising to me is that the fact that strong storms are forming when temperatures are in the 30s. I've never seen that, honestly. Brant,
keep in mind what's happening, though. The water temperature in Lake Michigan is the shoreline in the middle 30s.
Mid-30s?
Mid-30s. And this is moisture streaming in aloft overhead. So it's getting undercut by that wind off Lake Michigan. And we're seeing a lot of shear winds in different directions, Aisha. So we have a northeast component off Lake Michigan, a northeast to east component, and a southerly component coming in aloft. So you can see where that difference, that shear is taking place. Here's where we are at this point. We still have an active tornado warning across Newton counties, Newton and Jasper counties, both south of the Kankakee River. Rotation is crossing I-65 at this point. So if you know someone that's traveling 65, not the time to go north or south, anywhere from down near Lafayette all the way up to Maryville. It looks like this is going to keep moving over toward DeMont. And you can see a Deer Park. And again, we're getting into a more sparsely populated area. In fact, you can see we have an Earth map behind this, and you see that sort of checkerboard pattern indicating it's more agricultural fields that are across that area, but still in our viewing area, and still some communities watching us here on NBC5. That's why we're continuing the coverage here. And we're not certain yet what's happening to the west. There's a high probability that we could see another tornado warning popping up here during the evening. You know? All right, and Joy, our producer, was just looking at the traffic on 65, Aisha. You can see the yellows and reds where people are slowing down and not crossing through where this is. So if you know someone who's traveling 65, tell them please hold short around Maryville, Lafayette, wait it out there, and stay safe. We've got an NBA game underway, and what we're going to do is continue our coverage and do a double box here so we can give you an idea of what's going on, and also share the basketball game with you this evening. Here's where we stand at this point. We have a tornado warning continuing across northwest Indiana into Newton County, moving into more sparsely populated areas, just about to cross I-65. We have reports of damage in Kankakee County earlier in the path of this. J.C. Navarrete is on the ground there. He reported earlier some large hail. He is now near going to Aroma Park and some of the other communities that have been affected there with tornado damage. So that's the situation where we stand at this point, and with our coverage here on NBC5. Brant Miller along with Aisha. We've got Alicia and Aisha. You know, I knew someday I would mess that up, and this is that moment, Aisha. But here's where we stand at this point. We've got an active tornado warning on the ground crossing Newton County, moving eastward toward Jasper County. This is troubling. All of those blue boxes, severe thunderstorm warnings at this point, and some of these have the potential of producing another tornado, and this activity is not letting up. This is going to continue through the evening hours, and you think you're spared in the northern suburbs? Not so fast. Look right along the Wisconsin state line. More thunderstorms are populating there, and even severe thunderstorms out toward Joe Daviess County and out toward Dubuque, and all of that stuff is working its way eastward. So, Aisha, if you would you go through the warnings for us? It's like a bad game show we're on here.
I know, we're just trying to keep track at this point. So outside of the tornado warning, we do have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings that have made their way into our viewing area. So I'm going to use the map here and just go through several of these severe thunderstorm warnings. Actually, let me step on this side. Notice this severe thunderstorm warning goes until 8 p.m. Now, this is for DeKalb, Kane, and Kendall counties. The main concern with this cluster of storms is going to be hail over 1 inch, but it is possible that these storms could produce hail over 2 inches as well. And then as we move a little bit farther to the south, we've got LaSalle County under a severe thunderstorm warning until 8:30, and that's also for hail over 2 inches. So we'll have to watch that really closely. I mean, these storms all afternoon and evening really have been producing some just incredible images of hail, tennis ball size, baseball size hail. And then let's see what else we have. So as we zoom out the view, so those are the only severe thunderstorm warnings for our viewing area for right now, but I just wanted to kind of get you updated on what's going on outside of the tornado warning that we have. And obviously, we do have severe thunderstorm warnings across parts of northwest Indiana too. This is for Lake and Newton counties. I mean, that cluster of storms that produced the tornado warning, look at this, hail size 3 inches. So we already saw through JC's report, large hail being reported with that storm that produced the tornado too. And then we also have this severe thunderstorm warning for Newton and Jasper counties, also 3-inch hail, 3-inch diameter hail, and that threat for tornado possible, which we saw the tornado actually on the ground. So there is proof that there was a legit tornado from that particular cluster of storms, Brant.
And Joey in my ear is telling me, is it Lowell, Joey, that was hit? Lake Township's fire station has been hit, and Lowell has been dispatched to cover for them. That gives you an idea of some of the severity. And again, J.C. Navarrete is on the ground. And if you're just tuning in for the basketball game, you're seeing us up in the top left corner and the game off down to the right. and we're bringing the basketball game to you. You can see what's going on there, and we'll continue our coverage here. Right underneath the banner, that's where Lowell, Indiana is, up in here. Here's Lowell, Indiana. So what we're looking at is there was damage there, and so Lowell has come south towards Schneider. There's damage here. And again, I mentioned J.C. Navarrete is on the ground in Kankakee County. We have reporters that are covering that, and certainly at 10 o'clock tonight on the NBC5 News, we'll bring you information. And by the way, if it's safe, don't go out and be Mr. Adventure. But if it's safe and you see some of the damage, send a picture to us. You can send it to me, brant.miller@nbc.com. And we'll affect that and put that on the air during the 10 o'clock news again. brant.miller@nbc.com if it's safe. And again, we've got power lines down. We've had multiple reports across Kankakee County of multiple power flashes indicating that power lines are down. This is moving toward DeMont, Indiana. There's 231 there. And again, we're into a more sparsely populated area. Still a danger. This is a tornado that is on the ground. And we'll continue to monitor this as it moves east and eventually out of our immediate viewing area. There's I-65, Aisha, and it is right on I-65. And the rotation, we're not seeing some of that strong rotation. We're not seeing that, but keep in mind, we talked about this earlier, as this gets farther and farther away from the radar sites. What we're using here is not only live Doppler 5, but we take some of the rotation information from NEXRAD, the National Weather Service antenna in Romeoville, and they're looking up at half a degree above we're at half a degree above the horizon, and they rotate up and down and look for rotation, and they're getting farther and farther away. The storm is farther away, so we're looking up. The beam is around 5,000 feet at this point, so we're not seeing that circulation right down at the surface. So that becomes problematic as these storms get farther and farther from the radar sites. But certainly a dangerous situation if you're in DeMont. Keep in mind this is moving towards your Hershey and Stoutburg and on east. Yeah. And, you know, we haven't talked about this as much as we probably should have, Aisha, but the flooding. We saw JC walking around in his boots in Kankakee County, but there is a potential for significant flooding, not only now, but coming up.
Yeah, because we have this entire cluster of storms that still has to make its way through the area. So I just want to put on a loop for you just to show you over the past hour or so the direction that these storms are moving, generally off to the north and east. And these storms producing rainfall rates of about 1 to 2 inches per hour. So because of that, there is a flood watch in effect until late tonight. This is for everybody here in green under that flood watch, which does include Cook County and even parts of Will County as well. So just be careful on the roads. If you don't have to travel tonight, I would certainly advise just staying home if you don't have to go out. But these storms have been producing, obviously, hail has been the biggest story with these storms. But as we go through the rest of the evening, hail, but also flash flooding will become a concern as well with that flash flood watch in effect through later on tonight, too. Brant, I was actually just checking before you came over to me. I was just looking at the tornado that's in northwest Indiana because we still have that tornado warning that's in effect. And it looks like it continues to move off to the east, and it's not slowing down either. I was just looking at the National Weather Service chat.
Yeah. And what we wind up there with, Aisha, it's again, that beam is getting higher and higher in the atmosphere. This is going to be difficult to really determine what's going on at the surface. We'll have to rely on surface reports out of northwest Indiana. You know, you mentioned the flooding information. Let's talk a little bit about the Water Reclamation District. Our sewer people in Chicago have asked you not to wash dishes, not to run the dishwasher, to limit toilet flushes, that sort of stuff, to keep any wastewater out of the system because there's a potential for more rain moving in and flooding. We saw what historically has happened in Cicero and some of the communities that are, they also have combined sewer systems too, where you have runoff gets in as well as sanitary sewer. So if you can limit the use of water at this point, that'll help us. Aroma Park now, we're getting reports of people trapped in their basement. JC is headed in that direction now. We'll get a live report from him. But Aroma Park was one of the places in Kankakee County that was hit by this tornado. We had earlier reports of significant damage there. And again, JC is headed to Aroma Park for the potential for some people trapped in their basement. And again, if you're going to be in a destructive tornado, the basement is the safe place. And we'll find out from JC when he gets there what the actual situation is. Danger continues across northwest Indiana, right on I-65. This guy is right on top of 65 at this point. Any vehicles on 65, do not attempt to drive down there. Wait half an hour. It's all it's going to take to get this stuff out of here. Look at the center of circulation, sitting right on 65. So this is south of Maryville. And if you're down toward Lafayette, just hold short. If you know someone that's traveling 65, say, hey, wait half an hour or so. Let this stuff cross and move off to the east. There's DeMont in the path. And again, you can see from this checkerboard pattern here, you can see that checkerboard pattern. That's saying this is agricultural. We're seeing not a lot of houses here. We're seeing a lot of farm fields. And again, okay, and we're hearing now in my ear from Joey, our producer, that destructive damage in Aroma Park. Okay, Alicia was just sent some video and we'll effect to get that out here. But Aroma Park, we've got significant damage there. We talked about that earlier when we were with the continuous coverage across Kankakee County. But JC Navarrete is going to look for someone, a family that may be trapped in their basement. Again, the reason we do this is to keep you safe. And when we say, hey, get to your safe place, get to your safe place. And if you haven't figured out exactly where that is, we talk about it over and over again. That's the center of the basement, lower floor, away from windows. And Aisha, we talked about this earlier. I was watching some of the coverage of the tornado last Friday in Michigan. And as that big wedge, and that's what this is one of those big wedge tornadoes, as that thing was moving along the lake there in Union City, you could see out ahead of it, it wasn't just the tornado. A good football field on either side of it, there was debris just flying around that. 150 mile per hour winds, EF3. So that kind of destruction, this is the kind of stuff you pull over by the side of the road and go, hey, look at that.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we have the same situation
here. Yeah. Because earlier the National Weather Service was saying what we were looking at, EF2s, 3s?
They mentioned EF2, EF3.
Yeah, so you're looking at the potential maybe of 150 mile per hour, and we can't even comprehend what 150 mile per hour wind is. Okay, so now I'm hearing significant damage to multiple structures in Kankakee County. And we'll bring you coverage as we get our reporter, JC Navarrete, there. We still have some rotation being indicated along I-65 over toward 231 in northwest Indiana. So this thing is rapidly, over here is the state line, black line right there. So this stuff is cooking, moving off to the east, probably 25, 30 miles per hour. And again, you can see the repeat it again for me, Joey. We're hearing a report of a major hazardous material incident at the Byron Nuke. Not radioactivity. What is it? Hydrazine gas being released at the Byron Nuke. That's what we're hearing. Where are you hearing this report from? This is from the National Weather Service chat. Aisha, if you can take a look at that and confirm that with us too. So we don't know if this is weather related, but again, we'll bring you the information here. A very active news night in Chicago. Okay, let's give you an idea, an overview of what's going on here. We're starting to see that tornado on the ground in a more of agricultural area, not to discount that, but seek your safe place if you're east of I-65, Newton, moving over toward Jasper County. Here's what we're dealing with, city of Chicago. Nothing here yet. Earlier, we had some large hail downtown. That cell has moved off into Lake Michigan. Look at the stuff that's out toward Aurora and Plano. Earlier today, we had large diameter hail there. That blue box is a severe thunderstorm watch. That continues as we roll through the evening hours. These are severe thunderstorm warnings. And again, you can see some of the timing here. Know your safe place if you're in the western suburbs at this point. One of the interesting things, Aisha, is if you get out northwest along I-90, there are some places there that have a really high water table. So there are no basements.
Yeah.
So what do? You get to an interior room and closet, yeah. You know, and you mentioned earlier, as goofy as it sounds, put on your bicycle helmet.
Yep, football helmet, bicycle helmet. If you have a really thick pillow or maybe a thick blanket, certainly find that, take it in there with you. If the power goes out, don't forget to download our app so that you can watch this coverage right along with us. I do want to just mention really quickly, this is not our viewing area, but I was just kind of looking at some of the other storms just to our west. There is a tornado warning for Marshall and Stark counties. Again, this is just outside of our viewing area, but this storm is moving to the east. So it is possible that it could start to move towards LaSalle County. So I just want to give you a heads up on that. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer to the storm that is now tornado warned, because you can see it here. This is the storm that has the tornado warning on it right now. And then this is LaSalle County. So we're going to watch this storm pretty closely as it continues to move off to the east. Hopefully that tornado warning expires before it gets to LaSalle County. But this is going to be the trend as we go over the next several hours. These storms are strong, even severe, and many of them have had tornado possible tags with them, which basically means that these storms can produce tornadoes. So I just want to show you a wider view of what we're dealing with here, because this afternoon, 3, 4 o'clock, we had a couple of isolated storms, mainly down to the south, and now these storms have really blown up. So we've got this cluster of severe storms that's now pushing through parts of DeKalb County. It's pushing through central and northern LaSalle County, and this is all moving off to the east. We even have strong storms, although not severe, starting to cross the state line as well. So again, we're going to watch these closely as we work our way over the next several hours. But again, as I mentioned, we've got that tornado warning just outside of our viewing area for Marshall and Stark. But that storm is moving off to the east, so we'll have to watch it as it moves closer to LaSalle County, Brant.
And Aisha, we'll shift our focus. We know what's going on in northwest Indiana. That tornado warning has been extended farther to the east. But again, we're in a more agricultural area. Let's focus more on our western suburbs. This has the potential to be not only dangerous from flash flooding, large hail, but the potential, as Aisha mentioned, that we could pop a tornado in here. Severe thunderstorm warning, Batavia, along the Fox River, all the way up the Fox. There's Elgin. Not much going on there, but when you get down toward Batavia and farther south toward Aurora, those thunderstorms are on you at this point, producing some very heavy rainfall. Hail, could be some small hail, and we're looking at the vertical development here. That's what that little blue line is. Tops on these storms appear to be in that 30,000 foot range, but keep in mind we've got a really low freezing level, so the potential for some large hail exists. That moves through the general motion, Gesundheit, Stefan. That moves off to the north and east toward Chicago. Underlying all of this, that blue box is a severe thunderstorm watch, meaning conditions are favorable for severe thunderstorms. And some of these, as Aisha pointed out, have that caveat, tornado possible. Out south and west, we did have an active tornado warning, or we do have inside the blue boxes. But when you start to see all of this activity like this and the frequent lightning, this is the time to go to your safe place. This is not the time to be out, not the night to walk the dog. If you're in the western suburbs, make preparations now to hunker down in your safe place. And when you do, take your smartphone with you. Put NBC's app on your smartphone. You can see the same radar image on your phone. We send the warnings, and if you lose power, we stream what Aisha and I are sharing here live on our app, and you can see and keep your family safe. Because this is one of those situations, you get down in the basement, you need some connection with the outside world to see what's going on, and we're certainly here to help you do that. In Aurora, thunderstorms are on you. You go out to the south and west toward the Sandwich, out in Oswego. And if you've been in this part of Chicago, there are housing communities out here. It used to be farm fields and turf farms up 59, not anymore. This is a more densely populated area. Heading out to the south and west, and you see these active severe thunderstorm warnings and frequent lightning. Sometimes, Aisha, I don't think we talk about lightning safety enough. There is no safe place outside where there's lightning. Get indoors. Where do you go? Get in the car, roll up the windows. Some people think, the rubber on the tires protects you. No, that's not the case. You're like a bird on a power line. You're part of the circuit. So if lightning strikes anywhere nearby you, it will go through the shell of the car and jump to the ground. Convertible, all bets are off there. But again, safe place, get inside a building, get away from metal, and wait the storm out. And sometimes it may be half an hour, 45 minutes after a storm passes to be safe to go outside. So this is the night. The western suburbs, anywhere in our viewing area, keep the dog inside. Not the night to go out with the lightning. And severe potential continues into the evening. We haven't talked enough, I think, about, why? Why is this happening? What are we, the 10th of March, and we've got stuff like this going on? We have a huge contrast in the atmosphere. Look at these temperatures. This is remarkable stuff. 39 at O'Hare. There's fog in the northern suburbs. And we still have some thunderstorms riding above those. And Aisha and I were talking about this earlier. That's a surface wind off Lake Michigan. Aloft, the winds are coming out of the south and west. And you can see some convergence. You can see these vectors piling up here right along where all those thunderstorms are firing. What's happening is the air is converging, can't go into the ground, has to go up. And we're seeing those thunderstorms develop along a warm front that is just parked here. Earlier, we thought, would the warm front come north and bring all that activity towards Chicago? It looks like it's trying to do that, Aisha, doesn't it? Doesn't it look like it's just kind of
a little bit,
very slowly inching its way northward? The tornado watch, look at this. This is extended over into Michigan now, so east of us. So again, a lot of activity continues this evening. Get to your safe place. You know where it is. Strong interior room, away from windows, center of the basement, and stay with us. And we've got the NBA game continuing and the split screen coverage here here on NBC5. That one tornado warning still is continuing out to our south and west on the other side of 39. Aisha?
All right, so how much longer are we going to deal with these storms? I know most of you are like, could it be over already? So let's talk about the timing here. All right, so on Stormcast, this is 8 o'clock. Now, earlier this afternoon, the storms that were developing were pretty isolated, right? We had a couple out there, and that was about it. But these storms have really blown up. And as we go over the next couple of hours, 8, 9 o'clock, we're going to continue with these numerous thunderstorms. Right around midnight tonight, we've got storms still from the city across our south and southwest suburbs, even across parts of northwest Indiana, Porter County, LaPorte County. And then as we work our way to after midnight towards, say, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, then we're pretty much done with the storms by that point, but we'll still have some rain around. So again, we'll have the storms around for the next several hours, so we're not going to be done with these anytime soon. We do have that tornado watch in effect until 11 o'clock tonight. The National Weather Service did expand this watch to include Lake and Porter counties, and as Brant mentioned, even into parts of southwest Michigan now. We've got that tornado watch. So we'll continue to watch these storms. They have been producing, at least the storms farther to the south, have been producing tornado warnings where the environment is a little bit more unstable. And actually, let me show you that. Brant just mentioned the temperatures. When we talk about instability, we need instability to really get these storms going for the most part. Look at the temperature, 68. You said we have what video? Oh, we have Aroma Park video. Okay.
Oh, okay. Let's see what that is.
Let's see what that.
Oh.
Look at that.
Oh.
Wow. And that
Oh,
was
it's a wedge.
goodness.
Look at that. Look. Can we go?
Wow.
We'll look at that. There's some of the damage. Let's go back to that vortex again if we can and give you an idea of that video. There. Okay. Look at that. Look at the debris.
Tornado.
Look at the debris flying around the outside edge of it. And that's across a farm field. Wow. And this is some of the damage. Is this Aroma Park?
Terrifying.
Tom, thank you for sending that. Oh, man. Look at that. That is complete devastation of that home. And now it's nighttime. That was earlier. You can't see this thing coming. Okay. All right. So there's confirmation of the reason that we're on the air here. Let's re-up and give you an idea what's going on. Still tornadic activity across northwest Indiana. There's Couts. This is a dangerous storm. Continues east into a more sparsely populated area. That's the tornado warning. That continues at this point. That's across Newton and Jasper counties. Our concern now, not just that, but what's cooking out in the western suburbs. We're getting into a more densely populated area, and look at what's lining up to head in our direction. And Aisha and I were talking about this earlier. The thoughts were that we wouldn't see thunderstorm activity progressing up to the Wisconsin state line. It looked like, it's going to be a little more stable there. So much for that. Look at everything that's popping up across the state line up into Kenosha. These blue boxes indicate severe thunderstorm warnings. There's Wheaton. We've had a history of these things producing some small hail, large hail in some places, low freezing level, vigorous vertical development. Those hailstones go up and down, and we have seen some of those that are up to tennis ball size, maybe 3 to 4 inch hail. And we're starting to get in, Aisha, I think, into more of a flash flooding signature. What we were looking at earlier with the thunderstorms that produced the tornado warning across the South counties, across Kankakee County, it was one discrete cell that went to another discrete cell. And now look how this is congealing into a solid line.
Clusters.
It's a cluster. Now, what we have to watch out, when the line congeals like that, and no longer do we have discrete supercells that can grab fresh air and wrap into them, what we start to look for is what's called a QLCS tornado, a quasi-linear tornado, which we've had before, a convective system, if you're taking notes on QLCS. You look for these little inflow notches, these little divots here, and this stuff is extremely hard to predict. Very capricious stuff. Sometimes you'll see the signature on radar, sometimes you don't. It's difficult, so keep your guard up. Any of these storms, and you're seeing some of this rotation here. Look out here north of Ottawa and Kankakee County. You can see something going on there. So be your own forecaster. If you are underneath one of these strong thunderstorms, you're seeing heavy rainfall, frequent lightning, maybe some small hail, but there's the potential anywhere those little divots are in that line where you can see a QLCS tornado spinning up. And again, very short-lived, not a big, long track through there. But again, keep your guard up. In the western suburbs, this stuff is still coming toward us. Aisha?
Yeah, I just want to show you the model again because, you mentioned we're starting to see these storms become more so clusters, right? Like a line of storms. And these storms are moving over the same areas, and they will be moving over the same areas. That's what we call training. So it's almost like trains on the track, right? They're moving over the same areas. So let me show you Stormcast here as we go over the next couple of hours, because we're going to continue to deal with these storms. This is 10 o'clock tonight. Notice we still have this cluster of storms from the city down to the southwest suburbs, even farther to the north into Wisconsin. We've got some of these storms continuing. And then as we work our way towards, say, midnight tonight, so this is right around 11 o'clock, look at this. We're still dealing with storms in the general same area that we were 8, 9 o'clock. And that's what I mean. And that's why we have that flood watching effect, too, because these storms will be producing rainfall rates of about 1 to 2 inches per hour, and that is going to cause flash flood concerns. So let me show you the timing here as we push forward. So this is right around midnight. As we work our way after midnight, closer to 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, the storms will start to move out by that point, and then we'll be left with primarily just rain. So we're going to be dealing with these storms for the next several hours, and as I mentioned, we get some of those storms over the same areas, we are going to start to deal with some flash flooding concerns. So that's the other sort of component of these storms that we'll have to watch for this evening, Brant.
And then one of the things we learned too, we've seen some situations of flooding, urban flooding too. Historically, what's happened in Cicero, if you have a basement that you have stuff in that is family heirlooms, pictures, this is the time, if you're down there, hiding out, protecting yourself, pick that stuff up off the floor if you're prone to flooding. Prop it up on something. If you get a backup from the sewer or you get groundwater coming in, don't let your valuable stuff in the basement be destroyed by the potential for flooding as we move through the next several hours. And again, we mentioned this, the Water Reclamation District is advising everyone to try to limit the amount of wastewater that you put into their system to prepare for the potential runoff of these storms that are going to move through Chicago. And as Aisha pointed out, it's not just one storm. It's just a train of these things sitting over the same ground. and we're going to see continued potential for flooding. All right, severe thunderstorm warnings to the west, still active tornado warnings. Getting south and east of our immediate viewing area, we're still giving you an idea they're here, but our focus now is shifting less from the agricultural area on the other side of I-65 to the potential for flash flooding. So now, and look at this, Aisha, we've got a couple of new tornado warnings. There's Streeter, and there's the panhandle of LaSalle County. We're going to have to watch this guy. That may move into the southern portion of LaSalle County and then across Livingston, Fort Iroquois counties. And if this pattern holds up, could move toward Kankakee again as all these storms, although the track, see if this is correct and stay with us for about 30 minutes, but it looks like it's trying to inch a little farther to the north. Does it look like that to you?
Yeah, it does. And it looks like, too, I guess the greater tornado threat looks to be farther south of I-80, because that's where the atmosphere is a little bit more stable. But yeah, it's moving off to the east, and that's what I mentioned earlier. We're going to have to really keep an eye on that.
This guy right here.
Yeah.
So if you're in LaSalle County, keep your guard up. It's not in our immediate area yet for a tornado warning, but you get the idea that it is moving in our direction. There's the panhandle of LaSalle County. So this is where the actual tornado indication is there. And is that radar indicated, Joey, or is that on the ground? Do we know? We'll take a look here. Radar indicated for now. These guys have been on the ground, so keep your guard up across northwest Indiana. And again, flooding the potential as we see these thunderstorms continue to propagate off to the north and east and head toward Chicago.
Brant, we just got a report, the National Weather Service chat, Livingston County, 5-inch diameter hail.
Ooh.
That was around 5:30.
You're looking at, it's probably my hand right there, 5 inch. Ooh. You know, and JC shared that one vehicle you mentioned earlier, brand new car. Totaled, back window knocked out of it. Where do you go? You talked about earlier, you know, getting into a garage. If you don't have a garage,
I know. What do you do?
What do you do? You know, put the mattress over the car? I think you're in deep trouble. You know, that's the toughest part of what we do, is we sit here and we can sit here all day long and look at these radar signatures and say, hey, this is danger, danger, danger. But when you're out in it, it's a different animal. There's what it looks like. Just as we switch that image, let's go back to the map I've got here. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning. Just watch this guy pop up right here. Now, this is along the Fox River and eastward from Aurora, Yorkville, down to Morris. For this whole cluster here is moving off to the north and east, and you can see what's going on here. So once again, new severe thunderstorm warning there. 1-inch diameter hail possible there as this whole line starts to progress closer and closer to more populated areas in Chicago. So far, Aisha, we've seen this south, and we've certainly seen some damage. You saw a little flash of that image that showed the hailstones. Those were couple inches, 2-3-inch diameter hailstones, and you saw some of the stuff that JC was holding up early. And if you guys in the control room, do we have any word on JC was headed toward Aroma Park to check on the people that may be trapped in their basement? We can figure out that stuff. But again, tornado warnings across northwest Indiana. He's still en route to get there. And again, this may be difficult travel. This is not the time to do sightseeing in Kankakee County. They've had some serious issues. We've had a fire station impacted. We've had the people covering for that fire station. This is the number of power outages. These are customers without electricity. 6,500 customers in Kankakee County hit hard by that wedge tornado that was on the ground. You saw some of the images we shared earlier. That was over an agricultural area, but it did impact some structures there. And here's where we stand now. That cell is east, and it's moving away into more agricultural area. We have a new active tornado warning just west of LaSalle County. The little panhandle there, that's a radar indicated. And we have a new severe thunderstorm warning that's out along the Fox River and eastward. So this stuff is going to push into Wheaton, into DuPage County, into Will County, and eventually the city of Chicago. So don't let your guard up. If you step outside, there's lightning. Not that we talked about the dog. Let the dog inside. Open the garage door. Let the dog have his little palace in there. But don't go outside with lightning. This is not the night to do that. Aisha?
You know, I was just watching that storm. It's a tornado warned storm just outside of our viewing area. So I just want to show you really quickly. It's for Marshall County, hail size 1.5 inches, but this is moving towards the panhandle of LaSalle County. So I just want to zoom in really quickly and show you this particular storm. Again, we've been watching it closely because it's getting closer and closer to LaSalle County. And if it does actually start to include LaSalle County, then obviously we'll have to continue with this coverage. But this is the strong storm that is now has a tornado warning attached to it. It is moving off to the east. Here's LaSalle County. There's I-39. So this storm is going to be crossing I-39 soon, actually. Let's talk about some safety here, because I think as far as the tornado warnings go, we'll still see our highest tornado risk south, because that's where the atmosphere is a little bit more unstable. We've got temperatures generally in the 60s. Farther north of I-80, we've got 30s and 40s. So again, it's a little bit more stable, we'll say. But when we talk about tornado safety, where you should go, you don't want to be along any outside walls or windows. You want to get to the most interior part of your home. If you're in a high rise, stay downtown. Head to the lowest level. If you have maybe a stairwell or a stair casing, go to that stairwell, but get away from those outside windows and walls. A basement is perfect. If you don't have a basement, an interior closet or a room, just make sure, again, that you get away from those walls. And also that you do have a way to watch us just in case your power does go out. So don't forget to download the NBC5 app so that you can track these storms right along with us. Now, we're keeping an eye, obviously, on Northwest Indiana, but I also want to talk about some of the other things that we're watching, because we've got severe storms even outside of Northwest Indiana that's really exploding across our area. And I think going forward, not only are we going to be watching for a hail threat, but we're also going to be watching for flash flooding too. And that's why we have that flood watch in effect until later on tonight, because these storms are essentially training. So they're moving or staying over the same area for an extended amount of time. And these storms are producing rainfall rates of about 1 to 2 inches per hour. So that will certainly cause some issues with flooding. So I just want to go through radar a little bit here just to show you who's dealing with what. Because near Aurora, we've got some storms moving towards you. You're likely hearing the thunder, but the rain will start to pick up too. We've got some very heavy rain and hail down near Sheridan. So there's I-80, just north of I-80. We've got this really intense and likely severe storm here, with the main threat being hail. But as I mentioned, also very heavy rain. And then even to the north, Brant and I talked about this earlier.
Wow.
It's not likely that we see strong storms, especially with temperatures, in the 30s.
Yeah, look at that.
But notice these storms. I mean, we've got strong storms from Kenosha all the way back towards Durand. I mean, we're starting to get west of I-39 at this point. So we've got these storms just lighting up the entire area at this point, Brant.
So what's happening, we're seeing that warm front lift up from the south, and the storms, a wave riding along that, and just an incredible for the 10th of March to see this kind of stuff that's moving through the area. Let's re-up and give you an idea of what we're dealing with here. We're staying on the air until this thunderstorm moves east of our viewing area, and that's in the next 10 to 15 minutes. You can see an active tornado warning, a BTI of 5.1, so still significant. Agricultural area across northwest Indiana, just leaving Wheatfield and moving off to the east. And again, you can see the blotchy ground here. That's agricultural farm fields. Now, let's back out and give you an idea of what we're dealing with. There's the storm moving through. We have a new tornado warning that is just sitting to the west of the panhandle of LaSalle County here. We'll see if that holds its strength. There's Interstate 39. And what we were pointing out here is the potential for flooding. We have numerous severe thunderstorm warnings. Those are the blue boxes. Southwest suburbs moving into DuPage County. We're seeing all of this moving off to the north and east. We've got one little cell that looks like it's moving up toward O'Hare. So we may have some, if you've got flights, there may be some ground stops and delays. Check with your airlines. We've got some video. Let's give you an idea of what we've been seeing here this evening. Bringing up to speed, J.C. Navarrete is in Aroma Park. We've had reports of damage there. This is in Pontiac, and what you're looking at is a rotating wall cloud. You can see it spinning from left to right on your screen, a little pendant dangling from it. This is the kind of stuff we saw earlier when the sun was out. Now we're in a situation where it's dark. You can't see these rotations if they're occurring. We are seeing them as rain-wrapped, so extreme caution. If you hear warning sirens going off, make sure you seek shelter. Go to your safe place. Hail, the other part of the story. This is in Woodridge. Look at the pelting that happened there. Look at this, 1.5 inches. Let's be generous. 1.75 inches, maybe 2-inch hail. And you see the irregular shape of that hailstone. That made the trip up and down in the atmosphere. There's a handful of hail. Baseball says hail in Downers Grove. And again, Aisha was pointing out we saw some damage. JC was showing someone's brand new car in Kankakee with the windows shattered. So we're going to, as the assessment takes place tomorrow, I think we're going to see a lot of roof damage. Yeah. We're going to see a lot of car damage. And here's Pontiac. This is the scariest thing we've seen so far. Look at this. You can hear the sirens in the background. That's Pontiac. And that's a vortex. Hard to say if it's touching the ground, but certainly you see something like this, don't mess around. Thank you for taking the video. But again, get to your safe place. Now, Aroma Park. Look at this. This is the scariest of anything we've seen so far this evening. Tom, thank you for that. Look how around that vortex, it isn't one single spinning dervish there. You see multiple vortices around the edge of it. So that's the kind of stuff that's coming at you, and that's the kind of stuff that's happening at night that you can't see. So extreme danger. And look, it's over a farm field at this point, but we know that in Aroma Park, that same circulation caused damage, and we had a report earlier that JC was saying that he was on his way to check on a rescue where people are trapped in their basement. This is some of the damage Tom also shared with us from Aroma Park. Lifted the roof off this structure, totally destroyed at this point. And earlier, Aisha, we were talking about the National Weather Service was saying there was the potential we could see perhaps an EF2, EF3 storm out of this. And if you were around last Friday, that storm that was over in Michigan, that was classified an EF3. That storm track just mowed through a whole line of houses along a lake over there. And that was EF3, 150 miles per hour winds.
I think it's important to note too, Brant, we're off to a really early start for this.
Don't stop.
No.
Back those words up. Do not verbalize. Yes, yeah, I know where you're going. I know where you're going.
You know, storms of this intensity this time of year. And you may not remember, but we talked about this, I think it was maybe last summer, that things are shifting. We're starting to see severe weather during times of the year when we don't typically see severe weather. So you want to stay prepared, and I hate to say kind of all year round.
No, you have to.
Yeah, because we're starting to see things, and really continuing, if you will, to see things change when it comes to severe weather and the precautions that you need to take.
And just pause and look. Take a moment and look at what's behind Aisha. Okay?
Yeah, I want to start with this.
Yeah, I mean, just soak that up for a second. Every one of those little raindrop things is
it's hail.
Hail,
Yeah.
And all the look. It's a cornucopia of ugly weather that's upon us at this point.
Yeah, so many hail reports. I mean, I just saw from the National Weather Service in Livingston County, 5-inch diameter hail with the storm that moved through earlier. So we've got several hail reports. The storm that moved over the city, I mean, look at all of those hail reports. Even the storm that produced the tornado that moved through Kankakee County, numerous hail reports with that storm too. And then even back to the west, we're not done with these storms. Even back to the west, we still have numerous hail reports from these storms. So yes, the storms that will continue to move through the area, we're gonna have to watch the hail with this, so don't be surprised if you also see some of these larger hailstones. But I think we're starting to move into a flood situation because of the way that these storms are developing, and they're developing more so in clusters as opposed to kind of that supercell
discrete,
like what we were seeing earlier. Those storms earlier, they were more so alone, whereas these, they're starting to develop in clusters. So we'll have to watch that closely. Brent, I'm just looking on radar here, and that storm that was moving towards the panhandle of LaSalle, look at this.
Yeah, pretty good hook on that guy in there.
Yeah, look at that. So again, there's a tornado warning with this storm. Again, this is just outside of our viewing area, but LaSalle County's here. Here's the panhandle of LaSalle. But you can see this hook, and that's typically what we look for, and that indicates you've got winds flowing into this system, so that starts to, or into this storm, so that starts to indicate some rotation over Henry. So we'll watch this one as it continues to move off to the east. There's I-39, so just west of I-39. We'll have to watch this storm pretty closely, Brant.
And Joy, can you throw our radar? First of all, we'll talk about what's over in northwest Indiana. You can see all of this stuff is, actually, we're there. Northwest Indiana, this is almost over, moving quickly out of our viewing area. I jumped the gun. Joy, if you head back west again, and we'll look at that and analyze what Aisha was just sharing with us. That's that circulation. That's the tornado warning. Let's get a little closer on that guy. Let's really kind of pick this apart. That's over near Henry. You can see we're getting a marker here that there's some rotation. What do we see as far as rotation on this? Are we seeing a strong, pretty strong signature of rotation there? So again, extreme caution, south and west. This is on the other side of 39. Here's 39 here. Once you get in here, this is LaSalle County. That's in our viewing area. And again, you can see some very strong rotation here. So Aisha, we'll watch this carefully. We'll see if that warning extends into LaSalle County. If that's the case, we'll continue our coverage across the southwest suburbs. But again, another dangerous tornadic system. Again, this is radar indicated as far as we know at this point. So if you're in the southwest suburbs there, Toluca, you see some of these communities out to the south and west approaching Interstate 39 and eventually to LaSalle County. So that's where we stand at this point. We have severe weather that's been moving through this evening. Aisha and myself will continue to monitor the situation that's in the western suburbs. Flooding continues across north and west of Interstate 80, or along 88. This is 88 here, and you can see the heavier thunderstorms that continue. There's Yorkville, there's Aurora, and it's been raining in Aurora for quite some time at this point. We put the lightning back on it. Lightning continues. No safe place outside where there's lightning. Get into your safe place. Remember that thunder roars, get indoors. Be cautious there. An active severe thunderstorm warning that includes Oswego and Plainfield, southwest suburbs. And again, we're seeing this big blob of moisture moving towards Chicago. And our concern earlier was, in this line, will we see little divots that could indicate QLCS tornado? And again, we're not seeing that indication here. However, on the tail end of the line is what Aisha was pointing out. It's out south and west of Interstate 39. We're seeing that little circulation there, and the radar indicated tornado warning. All this moving toward us. Let's pull this thing way back and get an overall perspective here at 8:13. What are we dealing with here? LaSalle County is now with flash flood warnings. You see this little green box here indicating this whole area in here, the potential for flash flooding. So if you see a flooded roadway, do not drive through it. You have no idea how deep it is. And that flooding is going to continue all the way east across Will County and eventually into southern Cook County, because these storms are not going anywhere. They're not weakening at this point. They're continuing to chew moisture along this warm front that's sitting to our south. Here's where the active tornado warning is. It's east of Chicago very quickly. I think that'll move out of our viewing area. We'll continue our coverage here until that occurs. And then out to the south and west, Aisha, we're going to watch carefully whatever's happening there on the other side of Interstate 39. Will that clip the panhandle of LaSalle County? And we'll continue to monitor that situation. Joey, if you would, widen this thing way the heck out. Look at that. Look at what we're dealing with. You know, we haven't, and this is interesting, Aisha. Look what's happened. All of these counties south into central Illinois were potentially warned with a tornado watch. Look at the stuff that's still out here across Missouri and moving across the corner of Iowa. That can still propagate across central Illinois, across northwest Indiana. But look at the stuff that's moving up into Wisconsin and even over into Michigan. This system is massive. Yeah. For the 10th of March to see the number of severe warnings that we're dealing with this evening.
And like you said, Brant, I told you, I remember that conversation to this day. I mean, you really got to stay prepared all year round when it comes to severe weather, because, you know, things are changing.
Yeah. I mean, we have more water vapor in the atmosphere, more fuel for condensation, more fuel for storms, and this is what we're dealing with this evening. Count the flashing red boxes. Those are active tornado warnings, and the closest peril that we have to Chicago at this point is flooding, and an active tornado warning across, looks like Jasper County now, moving very quickly to the east. We'll see that cell moving out of here. And then our concern is, what's the story on this guy? Okay, we just picked up a new tornado warning right up against the panhandle of northwest Indiana, or northwest, not into LaSalle County yet, but into southwest, down near Streeter in LaSalle County. There it is right there. So Aisha, we continue. Let's show what the temperature contrast looks like.
That's what we're here for, right? All right, Brant's been mentioning that warm front. If you noticed, and we haven't shown this map a lot, and that's because obviously our focus has been on the tornado warnings, but in Peru and Morris, our temperatures have climbed. So we've got that warm front trying to shift a little bit farther to the east. But when we talk about instability and the atmosphere being unstable, the reason that I said any strong, at least strong tornadoes, the likelihood is going to be south of I-80, and that's because that's where we have the warm air. So we've got 60s, it's close to 70 right now in Kankakee and Valparaiso, it's 67. So with this warm air rises, right? So it creates more instability. North of I-80, we've got some cooler, more dense air, so the atmosphere, we'll say is quote unquote stable at this point. But, and I put that in quotes because even with the cooler air, we've got some storms ramping up for sure. Now, I mentioned this earlier. Yes, there is a tornado possible. So any of these storms that you see that are north of I-80, they could still spin up a quick tornado, but it's going to be different than what we saw down south. It's going to be different than what we dealt with, say, across Kankakee County. These are totally different storms that we're kind of moving into now. So you'll notice on Live Doppler 5, we've got cluster of storms now from Wisconsin back over towards even close to Iowa. We've got this cluster of storms that's moving through LaSalle. So these are more clusters, if you will, whereas earlier today we had kind of that supercell. So they were individual storms. So anything that fires up as we go through the rest of the evening hours, as far as any tornado warnings go, they likely won't be as strong as what we saw in Kankakee County, but you still want to be prepared for any tornado warnings that we may get. Now, the big concern too is going to be flooding with these storms because they've been producing so much rain. I mean, look at LaSalle County. This storm has been sitting over LaSalle County for what, the past 20, 30 minutes
even longer than that,
so?
I think.
Maybe
yeah,
longer
yeah.
than that. I mean, it's just been sitting over LaSalle County. We've got very heavy rain, obviously lightning and thunder associated with it. And whenever you see this magenta color, so let me zoom in a little bit. When you see this kind of magenta pink color near Miller, also, we've got a little bit of the pink and magenta showing up, say, near Freedom. That indicates hail. So hail is also going to be a concern with these storms. But I almost think we're kind of leaning into the bigger concern of flash flooding with these storms, Brant. But again, we're going to have to watch the possibility of a quick spin-up tornado too. But it's going to be different than what, say, they dealt with down in Kankakee County.
And you're absolutely right, Aisha. What we're dealing with earlier were discrete supercells where they have undisturbed air around them and they can really get tall, up to 50,000 feet. Now it's a line of storms all congealed together, so they're messing with their inflow. They're not sitting out there alone where they can suck up air, where they're bumping into each other. Here's our concern at this point. We have an active tornado warning, not in our viewing area. It's west. It's west of the panhandle of LaSalle County. We've seen this thunderstorm producing a tornado leaving our viewing area, moving out of Porter County and Jasper County, moving away. So the threat here to it's moving into Stark County. It's out of our viewing area. Still danger here if you're watching us. But again, we're going to, at this point, stand down on our coverage. We'll watch what's happening out there in LaSalle County. Aisha and I are here. Aisha, I'm on my second bottle of water during our live broadcast.
I'm halfway through the first one.
Halfway, yeah. Are you only halfway? You must be some kind of alien.
But I had a chai tea.
Okay, here's what we're looking at. Let's look at the model. This is what's still to come. This is the high-resolution rapid refresh model. It updates every hour, and what it's showing is still more significant activity moving through. Severe thunderstorm warnings with the potential there could be a tornado spin up, but not like what we were seeing across Kankakee County and Aroma Park. At least that's the way it appears. But look what happens even 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Flooding becomes our next potential. So keep your guard up, check your sump pump, check for flooding in the basement. And again, we will monitor what's going on. We'll come back onto the air if that tornado warning continues into the panhandle of LaSalle County. So at this point, let's return to the basketball game, and we will stand by with our storm team. We got to go on the air.
Lights are up, stand by, we'll break in.
Stand by.
When you're ready.
Ready to go.
3, 2.
All right, we're back on the air here on NBC in Chicago. We have a new active tornado warning. We talked about this earlier in the Streeter area, the panhandle of LaSalle County, and this stretches farther to the east. Brant Miller along with Aisha, and we had a severe thunderstorm warning underneath this, and this is radar indicated. But this is, Aisha, this is the cell we were looking at that was sitting just to the west of us. And our concern was it going to move into LaSalle County? There you see it. So it's just clipping the southern portion of LaSalle County. And again, this is radar indicated. This whole area along the south suburbs is where we have been seeing all of this activity. And we've had some damage reports from Aroma Park in Kankakee County. There's Streeter, there's Redding. Get to your safe place. Strong interior room away from windows. Center of the basement if you have it. Again, an active tornado warning. Joey, would you widen out a little bit here? Let's take this wider to give you an idea where this is headed. And again, you can see out toward Nevada, Ransom, all off to the south and east into LaSalle County. Broaden out a little bit. This isn't the only activity. Again, this is radar indicated. We still have some heavy rainfall and severe thunderstorm warnings continuing across our entire viewing area. Look at this now, stretching out to Joliet and out to Orland Park, a severe thunderstorm warning. So this whole cluster of storms is progressing off to the north and east and producing some very heavy rainfall. And again, that tornado warning at this point is radar indicated. But again, if you're in Streeter, seek shelter, get to a strong interior room away from windows. The other activity we saw off to the east has shifted on the other side of our viewing area, well east of Newton and Jasper counties. Into the city of Chicago, you can start to see on the north suburbs, northwest side, moving toward O'Hare, out into the lakefront. You've got more shower and thunderstorm activity. There's Orland Park. So this whole line is starting to push its way off to the north and east in extremely heavy rainfall. That's been our story. So far, Aisha, we started off this afternoon with hail. We saw, what, 4-inch diameter hail?
5 inch.
5 inch, okay.
The highest I've seen.
I'll spot you another inch there. We wound up with that. Then we wound up with some heavier rainfall and huge hail tracks. And then we popped up a tornado in Kankakee County that has caused some catastrophic damage. We have reports of people trapped. We have reporters on the way to check that out in Aroma Park. So there is a danger that was in Kankakee County. Nothing there at this point, but keep in mind, look what's out to the west. We've been watching this other cluster of storms, and that's going to continue to move its way eastward and impact perhaps toward Kankakee again. So it's not over yet. Active tornado warning now, Streeter, on the southern end of LaSalle County, and that's moving off to the east around 25 miles per hour. So that's been the general motion of all of these thunderstorms this afternoon and into the evening. So this will continue. The severe threat rolls on in Chicago. And again, we'll do that double box thing and give you an idea of the NBA game, and we'll continue our coverage. You can see that there is some rotation indicated there near Streeter. And again, if you get the idea where this is, out south and west in LaSalle County, Interstate 80 crosses through southern LaSalle County. And again, strong rotation in this that we're seeing there. You're seeing that little red color of a rotation. Radar indicated. And this is where it becomes a little more difficult at night, because this could be rain wrapped and very difficult for any spotters out there to see the actual rotating wall cloud and if there indeed is a funnel cloud. But I err on the side of caution. If you're in Streeter, in Redding, Long Point, out to Nevada, all these communities south and west in LaSalle County, get to your safe place at this point. Aisha, this has been one incredible evening. We had that little bit of a lull there, and now we're back into the activity, and the flooding potential continues across the area. What are you looking at?
Yeah, it really does. And I want to go back to that tornado warning box, just so that we can get some clarity here on exactly where that tornado warning is. So you can see this is the panhandle of LaSalle County. So as you look at this box, so it's this red box, I took off the shading. So it includes Streeter. Streeter, you're under that tornado warning. Reading also under that tornado warning. Newtown also, you're under that tornado warning. Even Allen. So you should go ahead and get to your safe place. Again, stay away from outside walls, windows. If you have a helmet, if you have a very thick pillow, take that to your safe place. A basement, as we've been saying all night, is the best place you can go. But if you don't have a basement, get to an interior room. Even a closet, that'll work too. So go ahead and get in your safe place. Now, this tornado warning includes southern part of Livingston County or southern part of LaSalle County and also Livingston County. But I'm just going to zoom in a little bit closer here because this so the area of rotation is moving off to the east. There's Reading, there's Streeter. So this will start to approach your area soon. So again, go ahead and get to your safe place. As you prepare obviously for this tornado. Also, don't forget to download our app so that you can have any updates just in case the power goes out so that you can get those updates on your phone. Now, this tornado warning goes until 9:15, I think it is, Brant. And we were watching, again, this storm as it was back to the west, and now it's tracking over 9:15, it was tracking over parts of LaSalle County, Brant.
And what we're seeing here is this activity has continued to work its way slowly off to the east. And look at the orientation. Before, when we started out this afternoon, it was more east-west along a warm front. And our thoughts were, Aisha, that maybe this thing would not progress farther to the north, but that has not been the case. We've seen thunderstorm activity that's pushed through the city of Chicago. And now this whole line, you see it's stretching all the way from the North Shore all the way down through the western suburbs and all the way out toward Streeter on the tail end of that line. That's where we're seeing, and that typically can happen on the tail end of a squall line. You can see some sort of circulation, and that's what's prompted this radar indicated tornado warning. And again, Streeter, you pointed out, get into your safe place in Streeter. This thing's on top of you right now. The rotation is weakening at this point, but we'll continue to monitor what's going on here. But again, we're in a situation where we've got these waves of thunderstorms that are going to be with us throughout the evening and even overnight. There's look at this. This is the 10th of March. And look at the number of severe thunderstorm warnings. Every one of those blue boxes, severe thunderstorm watch underlying that, tornado watch to the south. And what's interesting is that warm frontal boundary is pushed farther to the north. We're not seeing anything across central Illinois at this point. It's been confined to Illinois, just south of Interstate 80, and all of that activity has been pushing off to the east very slowly. There is more upstream, so this whole wave is going to work up toward us overnight tonight. So this isn't the end of it. This is just the beginning of an event that will occur all the way into the wee hours of the morning. All right, if you're in Will County, you're starting to see Joliet. You're starting to see some stronger thunderstorm activity moving toward us. Wheaton, across DuPage County. If you're looking at Shanahan, out to the south and west, Oswego, Aurora, anywhere along the Fox River. If you're up in Elgin, most of the heavy activity has shifted to the east side of the Fox. Aurora, it's still on top of you. Heavier activity east side of the Fox River. Yorkville, you're still in it. Going down toward Morris, you're still in it. And down in the south end here, you still got all this stuff to chew through. And again, this is radar indicated tornado warning that's just clipping the south end of LaSalle County and up into Livingston County, the northern portion of that. We'll continue to stay on the air as we watch this guy to see if this turns into anything. We're not seeing any strong, well, a little bit of strong rotation. You're seeing that little red indicator there near Reading. And again, this is radar indicated. Difficult this time of the night sometimes to really confirm this for spotters to see this because it's probably rain wrapped at this point. And it's dark, obviously, so very difficult to see. So if you're in Reading, if you're in Streeter, get to your safe place, interior room, away from windows, and you can see some frequent lightning strikes. So there is no safe place, Aisha, when there's a lightning outside. This is not the night I mentioned earlier to walk the dog. If you're in Streeter, seek shelter right now. Get to your safe place. A track, what's it look like, Aisha? How far is this thing going? If it hangs together, what are we looking at as far as some of the communities affected?
Yeah, it's moving east about 40 miles per hour. So I actually want to put a track on this storm so that we can see exactly where it's headed. So towards Streeter, right around 8:45, Blackstone just before 9 o'clock. We've got Nevada just after 9 o'clock, so 9:09. So again, this storm Radar indicated tornado, so we haven't actually gotten any confirmation that there's anything on the ground, but it's moving off to the east. Radar indicated. So again, these are the times, and you should go ahead and be in your safe place by this point as the storm continues to move off to the east, again, about 40 miles per hour. So we'll continue to watch that storm pretty closely. And as Brant mentioned, I mean, we've got a lot going on across the area. As I zoom out the view, you can see obviously all of the storms, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit here because we've got another pretty strong storm that's moving towards the city right now. You can see obviously the heavy rain associated with this storm. There's 355, there's I-290, very heavy rain through Bensonville, also back towards Wheaton. Oakbrook Terrace also getting in on some of that rain, Downers Grove, and even DuPage right now. And this storm could be producing some pretty heavy, some pretty large hail too. So we'll watch that as we go through the rest of the evening. Even south towards Plainfield, we're picking up on some heavy rain and even some hail. And then, as I mentioned, we do still have the potential that some of these storms could spin up a quick tornado, but the farther you go north, that tornado threat does go down, and certainly the tornadoes wouldn't be as strong as what we saw earlier today. I do want to go back to that tornado warning really quickly, just to show you what we're continuing to watch. So it's this area of rotation, and I'll zoom out a little bit. We're moving over towards LaSalle County. So it's this area of rotation. It has weakened a little bit, which is good news when we can see it weaken, but you still want to stay in your safe place. Again, Streeter, Reading, Long Point, you're just outside of this tornado warning, but it also includes Allen. So everybody in this red box here, and again, this area is not hugely populated, but you should, again, still be in your safe place as the storm moves off to the east, about 40 or so miles per hour, Brant.
And these are along that line. This is the tail end. This is like if you were cracking a whip at the very end of it. That's where you can see some circulation. So this whole line that moves through here, at the tail end of that, we're seeing that circulation, and that's down near Streeter. That's not to say there's not more activity out to the south and west that's working toward us. But again, as you see that red box flashing there, just touching the southern tip of LaSalle County and into Livingston County. There's a shear marker that's indicating there's some rotation that's taking place there. And as Aisha mentioned, Streeter, you've got to be in your safe place. Reading in your safe place. Cornell. But you see in the background here that this is an agricultural area spotted with communities that are in harm's way. So if you're anywhere inside this triangle, from Ransom to Cornell to Nevada, Odell, this is where that severe thunderstorm is moving to the east, producing radar-indicated tornadic signature. We're seeing some rotation being indicated here, and we also have a marker indicating there's rotation. And again, this is close enough to the radar that we're seeing some of that low-level rotation. So caution here, active tornado warning. That continues till 9:15 for a sliver of LaSalle County to the south and across Livingston County to the north, and then pushing eastward. And that's our story here with a tornado warning. Let's widen out and give you an overall perspective. Flooding is the other part of the story. These thunderstorms continue to move over the same ground. We have active severe thunderstorm warnings south and west from Oswego along the Fox River out to the south and west and into the western suburbs, just on the other side of 355. So from Oaklawn out west, here's the general motion. You can see this stuff moving through Wheaton and Aisha. We've talked about this over and over this evening. The training, running over the same ground. You can see it's been raining for most of the evening. If you're in Oswego, Aurora, that rain has been relentless. Earlier, earlier it was the hail, and then we saw the tornadic activity to the south. And now it's shifting more toward flooding, and lightning continues. I suspect at this point we have a ground stop at O'Hare. That stuff is right on O'Hare. I haven't received word of what's going on at Midway Airport, but certainly this whole line of storms is going to move in that direction. So air travel will be impacted this evening. Check with your airlines and check for flooding. If you're in a flood-prone area, be aware that this isn't the end of it. There are more storms that'll move through overnight tonight, and Aisha and I will stay here and be here to keep you safe. But be aware that there's more thunderstorm activity producing incredible rainfall amounts. Earlier, Aisha, what was the number? I had it wrong. What was the number of the hail size? What did we see?
5 inches.
5 inch. Think of, that's like my hand's worth of gigantic hail. So we're moving away from the hail threat, moving more toward a flooding threat this evening, and still on the tail end of that line, there's a potential there could be some rotation there down near Streeter. And again, Aisha, this is a radar indicated system. The other tornado warning that we talked about earlier, you can see that has progressed over towards Stark County and out of our viewing area. So for now, a bit of a lull across northwest Indiana. We've had reports of entrapment. We've had reports of people trapped in a basement in Aroma Park. That was this system when it pushed through Kankakee County. JC Navarrete and our crews are out there, and we'll bring you all of that information coming up at 10 o'clock on the NBC5 News. Confirmation now, we have ground stops at both airports, both Midway and O'Hare, because of the impending thunderstorm activity and severe thunderstorm and lightning too. When there's lightning, we get a ground stop. Crews can't get out and work the baggage and work the ramp. So here's where we stand at this point. Let's broaden this guy all the way out, if you would, Joey, and give us an idea of what we're dealing with. Look at this mess across the Midwest. And if we slide down a little bit farther south, the Storm Prediction Center had the tornado watch across central Illinois, and there's nothing going on down here, at least yet. We'll see if this wave works its way up and rides a little farther to the south. But so far, Aisha, look how the activity has moved north. This warm front that's been sitting east-west across us, our thinking earlier was maybe the north suburbs wouldn't see a whole lot of stuff going on, but look at how intense not only severe thunderstorm warnings, but the training of rain across southern Wisconsin, moving even over into Michigan with a potential for severe weather there. An incredible look at severe weather for the 10th of March.
It is really shocking. I mean, I mentioned that earlier. You know, we don't typically see, especially storms and tornadoes of this magnitude this time of year. I want to go back really quickly to the tornado warning. It includes southern part of Livingston County, or southern part of LaSalle County, and also Livingston County. Actually, it looks like it may have just expired.
Yeah, it looks like it.
They canceled it.
it.
And I was actually watching the chat because the rotation was weakening a little bit, but it looks like they decided to cancel it early. So it was supposed to expire at 9:15 or so. So they've canceled now that tornado warning. So if you were in your safe place, you can come back out.
Yeah, but stay aware. Here's the big picture. We have the potential for more activity, especially in the south suburbs. Heavy rainfall continues, severe thunderstorm warnings. Stay with our storm team. We'll keep you safe. Let's go back to the basketball game.
This is an NBC5 Storm Team Weather Alert.
Ustedes mandan video. Ah, ok, dale pues. ¿Te lo asigno o que lo haga un editor? Ok, entonces mándalo, please and folder. Ok.
Thank you.
Sorry. I'm trying to figure out how to incorporate Aisha into it. with
Check
doing-
1, 2, 3, 4. Got me?
With doing that. That's what I'm
Well,
trying
let's
to say.
talk to her. Maybe she's got, I mean, I also think that, like, the pictures, honestly, could be handled by the talent. right?
Yes,
Like,
yeah,
the
yeah.
campers
That's
and the
why.
ring.
That's why I was.
I think, so there could be an overnight timeline. What's coming next? If you're gonna do the here and now, what's next?
Okay, so you'll do what's going on now. We'll show the tornado track of the whole thing, the tornado itself. Follow it along.